Listen closely, because the story you're about to hear isn't just history. It's your story, mine, ours. The story of how a small blue planet, adrift in a quiet corner of the galaxy, became home to every triumph, every heartbreak, every question humanity has ever dared to ask. It begins long before maps, before names, before memory, back when the world was nothing but molten rock and possibility. A young Earth spinning beneath a sky the color of fire, oceans forming in a hiss of steam, lightning carving energy into the chaos. No witnesses, no sound but the planet trying to cool itself into something that could hold life. And then, somehow, it did. Tiny, fragile sparks, microbial, invisible, emerged in the deep. The first ancestors of every living thing. They didn't know it, of course, they were just trying to survive. But they began the chain reaction that would lead to forests and insects, wing beats and oceans teeming with color, creatures crawling on land for the first time in a moment that would echo through millions of years. Life doesn't grow in straight lines. It twists, it falters, it experiments. Continents collided like slow-motion meteors. Mountains rose and were washed back into dust. Species thrived and vanished. The world reinvented itself again and again. Ice ages, volcanic winters, lush green eras we can barely imagine now. And then one day, on an African plain shimmering with heat, a group of early humans stood upright and saw the horizon as something more than distance. They saw a future. If Earth had a heartbeat, you could feel it quicken. These first humans weren't yet storytellers, but they were observers of storms, of animals, of stars that seemed to follow them across the sky. Their tools were simple: stone, fire, courage. But their questions were enormous, and that was enough to change everything. As time passed, they spread across continents like migrating hope. They painted stories on cave walls by firelight, hands stenciled in ochre, animals frozen mid-leap, shadows dancing as if alive. Those early paintings weren't decoration. They were memory, knowledge, a declaration. We were here. We mattered. Civilizations rose where rivers fed the soil: Mesopotamia, Egypt, the Indus Valley, ancient China. And with them came writing, cities, laws, trade routes stretching farther than anyone had ever traveled before. Humanity began threading itself together with ideas, myths, inventions, and every generation added something new. Wheels that carried us, sails that caught the wind, numbers that made the invisible, like time, finally measurable. Empires followed, some built on brilliance, others on brutality, most on both. Rome's roads, Greece's philosophy, Persia's knowledge, Mali's wealth, China's dynasties, the civilizations of the Americas with their astronomical mastery and architectural feats that still defy explanation. Different worlds unaware of each other, yet equally driven by the same force: the desire to make life more than survival. History wasn't gentle, it rarely is. There were wars and plagues and moments when it seemed everything might fall apart. Entire cultures extinguished, countless voices lost to time. But even in the darkest centuries, something endured: a stubborn human instinct to rebuild, to rethink, to try again. After the fall of empires came renaissances. After epidemics, revolutions in medicine. After conflict, the fragile hope for peace. And then came the modern age, almost violently fast. Machines roared to life. Steam turned wheels that reshaped nations. Electricity lit cities through the night. Suddenly the world shrank. Borders felt closer. Oceans felt smaller. Voices could travel farther than footsteps. Ideas, once confined to villages, raced across continents. But progress brought shadows too: industrial empires rising and colliding, world wars that scarred the planet, the power to destroy as easily as create. Humanity stood at crossroads again and again, choosing, sometimes wisely, often not. what kind of world it wanted to become. Yet for every misstep, there were breakthroughs that redefined what being human could mean. Civil rights movements fought for dignity long denied. Nations rebuilt out of rubble. Scientists uncovered the code of life, reached out into space, sent machines crawling across the surface of Mars, searching for cousins of those first unseen microbes. And here we are now, one species, billions of stories, each living in the aftermath of every decision ever made before us. We're connected in ways our ancestors could not have imagined. Digital threads linking strangers, satellites watching over us, global conversations unfolding in real time. The world is louder, more chaotic, more beautiful than ever. But for all our progress, the deepest questions remain the same as they were for those early humans staring at the horizon. Where are we going? What kind of ancestors will we be? History isn't a straight path. It's a tapestry, frayed in places, brilliant in others, woven from the countless small choices made by people who mostly never knew they were shaping anything at all. And that's the quiet truth. The story of the world is not defined only by emperors or scientists or revolutions. It's shaped by ordinary lives, farmers planting seeds that outlived them, parents whispering wisdom in the dark, teachers, builders, dreamers, wanderers. The millions whose names never made it into books, but whose actions carried the world forward step by step. As you listen now, remember this. History didn't stop. You are living inside it. Right now, this moment is another thread in the tapestry, and one day someone will look back at our time, just as we look back at cave paintings and fallen empires, and they'll wonder who we were, what we valued.